Ooh.
I think it's happening, guys. We're live.
Oh no, everyone's gonna hear what I'm saying now.
We don't want that. Oh, and I gotta mute I gotta be my own producer because my producer is sleeping.
You have a lot of children. One of them can produce.
My child is my producer.
Oh, there you go. The
well,
eldest.
if they're your producer, then how can they be asleep?
Because I didn't tell them about the show.
Fair
point. And plus, there's not a lot of. I'm not having to bring up a bunch of articles and clips and videos and things like that. So it's all good.
Which you'd normally do, yeah.
Let her sleep. We'll play video games later. That's what's up. So welcome to the morning episode and night episode, depending on where you're at in this giant world of ours, to the Unframe of Mind show. I've actually got a few guests on this morning and possibly more to hop in. I invited many people. I was kind of hoping some of my stateside friends would have the ability to get up in the morning, but I understand if they don't, because 6 a.m. is kind of early for, losers.
Oh,
but...
6 a.m. Jeez. Dude.
See, it's even early for Dia. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves in this case and tell us a little bit about your channel. And not only are we getting to, the audience is getting to know us, but we're kind of getting to know each other a little bit as well. At least some of us, anyway. So I'm going to start with you, Miss Dia.
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. Thank you, Daniel, for having me back. For those who are not aware, Daniel was my very first YouTube friend, and he and I have formed a lovely friendship throughout the years and shared our stuff and had very friendly competition. My channel deals predominantly with socio-political commentary, Australian politics, USA politics, and I also interview celebrities. I interviewed one of the Pussycat Dolls, and I'm a very persistent young lady. And so my stuff is really quite a variety of things. And it's very hard to encapsulate my channel in a couple of words, but if you want to give it a watch, just click on the description. Click on the link in the description box below. That's me. Next person.
Hey, what about you, Revisionist? Matt from the Revisionist, rather.
Yeah, that's my channel. The Revisionist channel. My name is Matt. My channel is about politics and law and any truth-related topic. And I try to constantly discover the truth. I do live streams and also other videos.
I noticed yours is a relatively new channel.
Yeah.
How long ago did you start it?
I think it was a few months ago.
And what was the driving force behind you wanting to start that channel?
Well, I've been doing research very intensely for the last 15 years about what exactly the control systems are, and I decided to go onto YouTube and try to share my research and my findings and try to just help people.
Right on. And what about you, Tim? Let me get to know you. Wait, this is our first time meeting, so let's first impressions and all that, right?
Yes. Oh well, we only connected earlier this week for the first time. You discussed one of our articles a while back on the Proud Boys purge, so it was nice to be noticed by somebody overseas. But my full name is Tim Wilms. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of the Unshackled.net, which is an Australian alternative news website, which started in September 2016. I myself come from a libertarian background, and it was basically born out of my frustration at, as you will probably remember, September 2016 was when the Trump phenomenon was in full swing, and I was just getting so sick of all the triggered people thinking that Trump's the worst person in the world because he said mean things. And so I had to go out there and put the alternate view forward. It just started out as a blog, and then we expanded into podcasts, and now we do field reports. We've got this lovely studio here, and we publish 4 to 6 times a day. And yeah, it's been going gangbusters, and we've been able to rise to the top of the alternative media scene in Australia.
They're doing really well.
Oh, two things. I want you to say gangbusters again. That was great.
Who said? Did I say that?
Yeah.
Gangbusters.
Oh, I love it. Great. Sorry, never mind. Anyway, and the second thing was you're meaning to tell me Trump's not a bad guy?
Oh, shut up, Daniel. We always talk about this. You're so annoying.
Well, it's 2 years into the Trump presidency now, and no, the sky hasn't fallen in. The U.S. economy is going well. Everyone's still as free as they were before. I mean, you're still allowed to. Well, everybody criticizes Trump. You know, the First Amendment is still intact. The worst that Trump will do to you is just say you are fake news. The Second Amendment, well, that's still in place. The rest of the amendments, I think, are still being pretty much enforced. I mean, there's been no internment camps. There's been no segregation again. Things are going well.
It's far more unified. And may I say, as a person of color, I hate even using that phrase, but you Americans say, I've heard many American women say that. As a Latina, I can say that Latino Americans have never had more employment than they do currently. And African Americans is the very same story. So how do you define Trump as not being a bad guy? I don't understand.
Dude, that's funny. You said as a Latina, I can say. So I
know. I felt like a dickhead even saying that because I don't see myself that way.
But whenever you hear somebody say that and they're criticizing Trump, just say, "Well, I'm sorry, honey, but you've never been a president. So how in the world can you criticize Trump? You don't know what it's like. You have not lived that experience."
Exactly. But anyway, my point was that unemployment has never been so low.
All right,
which is a good thing.
I wanted to kick off the show just
about Christmas, and it started off on Trump.
No, it's all good. It's all good. This is no format necessarily, so feel free to hop in wherever you want to and talk about whatever you want to. But just as a general starting point, I thought it'd be fun to talk about Christmas and Christmas traditions. Since that kind of seems to be the time of the year. And wanted to get a little bit more about what you guys do as far as with your family and with your friends and that kind of thing, and what kind of traditions you've carried on and that kind of thing. And so hop on in, whoever, whatever, I don't care. Just let me know what you do for Christmas. And if nobody hops in, I'm hopping in.
Well, it's summer here in Australia at the moment, so we always have Christmas in the summertime.
Yes,
so no white Christmas for us, even though we consume the American Hollywood Christmas movies.
Indeed,
it can be a 30 to 35 degree Celsius day. Basically, how it all. I know that in the States the Thanksgiving that's big for the turkey, but turkey is prime in Australia during Christmas time. So I quite like the summer Christmas because you get to go out more. You can go out and about. Christmas lights are big in Australia. Everyone puts out the front of their place really big displays. It's really nice, and because it's not cold, you can just wander around, and there's always outdoor Christmas caroling. It's a really good time of year, and of course
I've never heard outdoor Christmas caroling. I don't know what part of the country you're living in.
I know that seems like such a 1950s type,
But it sounds beautiful.
Hey, that's what I grew up with.
That's fantastic. I'm not knocking it. I've never had that experience.
Well, carols by candlelight.
Yeah, no. Okay, so the songs, the Christmas carols that they do, that's different to someone caroling outside your house.
I didn't mean that.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
My Christmases, basically, they'd be the same as Tim's, but because my family, culturally speaking, is bilingual, like my mother's Colombian, my father is Spanish, we celebrate Christmas Eve. We don't celebrate Christmas Day. So Christmas Eve, what we do is the whole family gets together, all the cousins and everyone. We have this huge dinner at like 10:30 p.m. at night with the turkey, with the prawns, all this awesome stuff.
Oh yeah, seafood. That's big for Australian Christmases.
Yes, exactly. And then we do the presents from the nighttime into the morning. And then Christmas Day, we just sleep and play with toys. And we used to play with toys when we were little. Now what we do is we all get together. We all go home, sleep, and then come back later on the Christmas Day itself. And then we do board games and silly things like that, like play board games.
Our family still does the traditional Christmas, so open presents in the morning, and then
see, that's typical for most Western families.
I should have also said that Christmas breakfast is always butter croissants in Australia.
Oh, lovely! I don't do that. That sounds great.
Yeah, with jam or any other nice spreads. So presents and then croissants in the morning.
Lovely.
And then you have obviously the turkey for Christmas lunch. And
Nice.
because I've got a large extended family and everyone's partnered, there's always, so you have lunch at one side of the families and then you have dinner at another side of the family.
Yeah, you have to break it up, don't you?
Yeah. And there's a lot of coordination between one family has theirs strategically at lunch so that everyone can attend, and the other has it at dinner time. It worked out well for the first 20 years of my life, but then everyone sort of splintered off these days.
Always happens. And just before we get on to Maddie, I just wanted to say that we used to go to church as well for Christmas. At least my family did. We don't anymore because, we just don't. But I find that element to be crucial because Christmas has the word Christ in it, and we are celebrating the birth of our Savior. So I just felt like it was important to note that. All right, we're done.
What about you, Matt?
I grew up in the U.S., but I don't live there right now. I've lived like the last about 15 years in Europe, in Scandinavia. And I actually have a German wife, so we celebrate like German tradition. We give each other a calendar present each day of the year, and a few days ago was a Saint Nicholas Day, which celebrates, I guess, the real Santa Claus. And we receive presents in our boot. We give each other presents and put it in the boot. And on the 24th, we celebrate Christmas, and not on the 25th. So just everything is like what is done in German.
Oh wow, I've heard about the tradition of putting gifts in boots, but I never met anybody that's actually done that. I thought that was just kind of an old thing.
In Australia, a capital punishment is you get a boot kick up the ass.
That wasn't even
The Simpsons.
one episode.
Might be different.
I was just making up a lie. It was from The Simpsons. Tim knew what I was doing.
Shoot, I'll tell you what. Probably one of the neatest things that we ended up doing as a family. I mean, we still do the kind of the standard traditional Western Christmas type thing, but when I was a kid, me and my brother, we've always been smart asses, like as long as I can remember. It's just kind of we jab on each other all the time. The whole family does, and we one year for Christmas decided to we wanted taco salad for Christmas.
Yum.
That's what we wanted. We wanted taco salad. It was on our Christmas list, with our other toys that we wanted and whatever electronics were.
Wow, you guys weren't very demanding kids if all you wanted was taco salad.
No, there was a whole list of stuff, but it was like in the midst of like taco salad. It was like out of place. That was the funny thing of it. It wasn't like expected to be there. Well, nice. What ended up happening is that Christmas, between me and all my siblings, Santa Claus left an ingredient for each kid for taco salad. It ended up being, I got 2 cans of beans. Somebody else got a big old roll of ground beef or whatever the ingredients were. We would all get that, and then we would all take those gifts that we got from Santa Claus and make taco salad, and it ended up becoming a tradition over the years. So
that's how it happens. That's nice.
So instead of eating, your standard Christmas dinner, we end up having taco salad every year for Christmas, which was great. And
that's so good. That's a nice story. I actually really like that.
Yeah. And then so every year we would write, we would write the specific ingredient we wanted instead of taco salad.
Wow, it's evolved so much.
It's gotten complicated and intense. And then we figured out how to maybe we can figure out how to tie it back into baby Jesus, and that would be awesome. Maybe that was, I don't know. There's got to be some way so that I can get this to be like a solid standard part of all Christian practices around the Christmas time of year. What do you think?
Well, Matt, I just wanted to ask you. You said that you now celebrate Christmas in Germany because you're living in the Scandinavian countries or something. Is the part of the world that you're from is the birth of Christ and the word Christmas slowly being diluted? Like, is that sort of almost out of the picture now? Because I feel like that's what's happening.
Yeah, probably. But I'm not Christian. I'm an atheist, like Daniel.
That's irrelevant to my question. But
Okay.
Dang.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't being rude.
Get him, girl. Get him.
I wasn't trying to be rude. Shut up.
Are you triggered?
He seems triggered. I wasn't being triggered.
In battle mode lately from all the negative press she's been
I'm
getting.
sitting next to an atheist, and we're really good friends, and he doesn't believe in God, but he still understands that Christian values. You're all atheists. Exactly. I'm the only non-atheist.
I didn't.
I'm the only theist here.
I thought you're outnumbered.
Yes, I'm outnumbered. That's true.
I didn't set the show up this way. This is not an intervention for you, Dia. I promise. This was not.
That's okay. Well, I mean, James Fox Higgins and I certainly outnumbered you in that debate, so it's sort of payback, I guess.
Although the idea that Jesus is getting diluted from the Christmas
diluted, yeah,
is kind of funny because it actually was added to pagan traditions, as you recall.
They were merged. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Kind of bleeding back out of it again. It's interesting, the whole history of all that.
I wasn't meaning to be rude, Matt. Sorry. I simply, in case it came across that way, I simply meant that you don't have to be an atheist to appreciate. Like Stefan Molyneux is a good advocate for this. I met Stefan Molyneux, and he's an advocate for Christian values. He just doesn't believe that there's a God. Many atheists subscribe to that. I don't know where you guys fall on that, but yeah.
So, speaking of older traditions and that kind of thing, I'd like to read a small portion of my article here, and the link's in the description if you guys want.
Okay, let me just go to sleep for a moment.
I'm gonna let you sit in that for a minute. I'm gonna let you squirm.
Your face, man.
I'm gonna let you squirm. Anyway. So basically, and there's a reason I want to read this particular section, though. I'm going to sound like a pompous asshole, I know, but I went back and read this article, and I wrote it last year, and I was reading it. I finished reading it. I was like, I don't remember writing this, but damn, I'm a good writer.
Yeah, you are, though. That's true.
I was like, this reads really well. Anyway, so it's talking about the tradition of the 25th of December. And let me make sure I get this correct here. All right. It's not a historical mystery that December 25th is not the actual day that baby Jesus was born, though if you ask any 10-year-old in church, that's exactly what they will tell you. However, the celebration of the winter solstice has been widely practiced since antiquity, namely the ancient Roman festival Saturnalia, which was practiced from December 17th through the 23rd, where ancient people would pay their respects to Saturn, the god of agriculture, liberation, and time. Saturnalia was a time of feasting, gift giving, free speech, and role reversals, where the nobles would exchange roles and serve meals to their slaves, although the slaves still prepared the meals. Yeah. So the author of the book that I continuously quote through this, he says, quote, "There is no information as to the day on which Christ was born. God's word is silent upon the subject. The logical conclusion is that if the Lord had desired that the birthday of his son be celebrated, he would have revealed it. Therefore," he continues, "if we celebrate Christmas, we have to borrow it from the Church of Rome. This day has been made a day of festivity and carousing, which is out of harmony with the spirit of Christ and his teaching. It is based in tradition and not on God's word. In reality, no Christian should observe Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, Easter, or Christmas, for all originated with the Church of Rome." So, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys for a minute.
Damn.
I'm aware of all the inconsistencies and the illogical and pitfalls in the various Christian holidays, and how a lot of them stemmed, as you mentioned, from paganism, but it's not up for me to explain.
So the reason I wanted to bring up that particular section is because there's one particular part that I liked is about the idea of role reversals between the nobles and the slaves. And I just thought that was so neat that was something that was done in order to kind of, it's almost like an empathy building exercise that, you can kind of see things from other people's perspectives.
Yeah, for a couple of hours, you won't be slaves, but for the whole 360 other days of the year, you're still my slave.
Right. Well, I mean,
in Christianity, we abolish slavery in general.
That aside,
but you continue on your little fantasy.
Right. What I wasn't talking about, we need to bring back slavery so we can re-practice this tradition. What I was talking about was it would be neat to do bring back the part of the tradition where the role reversal happens, where maybe the parents and the children switch roles for the day or something, or for, you know, a little while. Let the kids run the house and see how it, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know what form it would take, but it would be kind of cool to incorporate that into traditions again, you know, kind of bring it back, you know, take that old thing and make it shiny and new again. Might be a neat idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
So in the feminist world, it would be that their man cooks dinner, although in this, what you've just described, the wife still prepares dinner, the husband just puts it on the table.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true. Such a flawed argument, isn't it?
Okay, I gotta ask Tim. That shirt, I saw it at first, and my first thought was, is he wearing a Che Guevara shirt? Communist shirt? But that's not the case. Who is that?
It's a woman.
Rose Wilder Lane. She was one of the female libertarian pioneers with her book, The Discovery of Freedom, in, I think it was 1943. It's from the Mises Institute. Hopefully you're aware of their work and education. So I bought a whole bunch of them about 5 years ago. Because, yeah, when you go out in public, you want to wear something that describes who you are, and, yeah, not Che Guevara on your shirt.
I like wearing shirts that say it's okay to be white and boys rule.
It's hilarious. I died laughing, Dia, when you did that video where you had the "It's okay to be white" shirt on and you're pouring milk all over yourself. Like, what?
I embarrassed the shit out of myself.
And you ended up on Patriots.
I know it ended up getting parodied, or not parodied, but I got a mention on a leftist hate site essentially.
Yeah. Tell me about the aftermath of that event. Like not the media aftermath, but just as soon as it was done, like what was that like, cleaning that shit up?
Oh, well, because I did it in my backyard. I didn't clean it. I just left it. But then I had to run to the shower immediately after. Because it was like all over my face. It was in my eyes.
Yeah. Should have borrowed Morgan's glasses.
I should have borrowed someone's glasses. Yeah, for sure.
Wait, tell me more. I need more detail about the shower part.
What do you want to know? I scrubbed my body using a loofah. You're an idiot.
I love you.
The video did okay. It got over 300 views.
That's awesome.
I mean, I know that's not amazing, but like it did okay.
Yeah.
And your boyfriend Logan,
my boyfriend poured
dirt on himself.
He poured dirt on himself and said, "Wait, why did he pour dirt on himself?"
Because he wanted to see if he could turn himself brown.
Oh yeah. And he's part Aboriginal, so he's already brown. So he just wanted to make himself brown by pouring dirt on himself. So funny.
Oh, this identity politics it's terrible.
It's so bad. And it's actually it's a game here. Like the identity politics in Australia is a game here. Well, it is over there too, like Candace Owens.
We had one of our politicians, Pauline Hanson, she's like a nationalist senator. She proposed a motion in our Senate to say that it's okay to be white. And it was initially voted in favor, it just failed, but the government senators, they initially voted in favor of it, but then they reversed it, blaming an administrative error because they thought that it was an anti-racist motion, but then they were told by the media that no, it's a white supremacist slogan.
So stupid.
Oh my God.
That's how bad it is here, Daniel. Like you guys are so lucky. You have like the best constitution in the world. Like ours.
Not in effect.
What do you mean?
The Constitution is not in effect. It was changed in 1871, and the Bill of Rights is not in effect too.
It's called an amendment. You can change them, but I simply mean that, like, huh?
It was changed.
It does or it doesn't. What are you saying? I can't.
No, it was changed in 1871. The Constitution was changed.
Yes, because it's an amendment. Amendment means to be able to edit,
not
correct?
Amendment, the Constitution. It was for or of, and now it's of or for, and it's a different Constitution.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Okay.
Having a can of worms.
It's a very long story.
Yeah.
It's a very long story, but I mean, I've mentioned it a lot on your channel that how the Constitution was changed, and the people who became bonded sureties responsible for country debt, the slaves that were involuntary slaves joined the rest of the people, and everybody became voluntary slaves. So that's what's been happening since that time. And in 1933, the U.S. became bankrupt, and every country in the UN is bankrupt as well.
Currently or back then?
Yeah. No, currently every country in the UN is bankrupt.
Sure.
Yeah, the UN is BS.
Into the UN.
But that doesn't change the fact of what I was saying, that the US has the best constitution. Like, it's better than the Australian constitution.
But it's not in effect. The one you think is in effect is not in effect. It's a different secret constitution.
I have no idea. I'm just learning what you've told me is brand new information. I'm simply saying that the way America functions is one of the best structured running countries as opposed to other countries. That's all I'm saying.
It's an illusion of freedom. It's an illusion of choice. When you vote, it's all an illusion.
So I think what Dee is just saying is the common idea behind the Constitution, the free speech rights, is something that is pretty held dear to most Americans, most people in the world, that kind of thing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Not so much the Constitution itself and the technicalities of it all, but
maybe I shouldn't have used that wording.
The spirit of it is that
liberty, freedom.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. As far as the free speech goes, it's not like I sit here and worry when I type up these articles, or we're having this discussion even right now, that I'm gonna, something's gonna happen. They're gonna come kick in my door. Although the possibility of it's certainly there.
Of course, it's there. But we're talking about V for Vendetta, as if it's like happening right now. Like, there may be a secret constitution, there may be all this stuff that I'm not aware of, but I'm talking about just superficially what you see on the surface. It seems fine.
So
Supreme Court.
Wait, everyone's talking at the same time. Go, Tim.
Well, the Supreme Court can, depending on who's on the bench, they can interpret the Constitution any way they wish. They're accountable to nobody. So how I would say originalists would view the Bill of Rights is different from how it's actually applied. But the one good thing about the Constitution is that the checks and balances it has in place in power, the structural aspects of it, they're a better constraint on government power than what's in the Bill of Rights.
Discuss.
The idea of checks and balances is great, but it doesn't work. It doesn't happen. The Supreme Court, they do what they're told. It's not working the way you think. It's not working as good as you think. It's not working at all, really.
It's not working at all. So is your guy? So the government, is it seizing your house, Daniel? Are you okay?
Well, it's I get where he's coming from.
It's
real subtle. It's different, and they actually kind of do own my house. If I don't pay those property taxes.
Yeah, Seed and Company. Go look on your mortgage. It says Seed and Company. That's who owns your house if you have a mortgage.
But you voluntarily enter into a mortgage contract.
Correct.
It's not like socialism. This isn't Jonestown. Dead silence.
I was just wanted to give Matt an opportunity to elaborate a little more on that.
Do you guys know what Jonestown is?
What Jonestown?
You don't know.
I think.
Has anyone ever heard of Reverend Jim Jones?
Yeah, what was it in South America, where they
in Guyana, and 900 people lived in Guyana, and it was a socialist utopia, and they all ended up killing themselves because he gave them poison.
I've seen a documentary on it. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so that's socialism, and that is like someone actually owning your shit. You give money to something else to a greater cause. You don't own anything. That's like real socialism in practice, and the United States is not doing that. Like Tim said, you enter a voluntary contract, voluntarily to a contract. Sorry.
So let me try to offer some perspective in this if I can. And what I'm looking at.
Go ahead. You're an anarchist though, so.
No, I know I'm a complete anarchist, but what I'm looking.
I know. We did a video on it together.
what I'm to understand is that as far as the, like, say, voting, for example, and as far as just being a citizen, you don't enter into that voluntarily. The taxation system, you don't enter into that voluntarily, and there's no opting out. So um, basically, if you
Well,
if
there
you
is.
define slavery as, you basically 100% slavery would be 100% of the productivity or the fruits of your labor are owned by somebody else. That would be 100% slavery. Is that fair to say? Everybody agree with that so far?
I've heard this argument before that I didn't consent to the US Constitution, and then the retort is, yeah, but I didn't agree to the non-aggression principle.
Oh, no. That's not where I'm going with this at all. I'm just
but two can make that argument.
Oh, that's not the argument I'm making. What I'm trying to establish right now is just a good definition for what slavery is.
Okay, well, the definition you put forth, I think, yes, that I would agree with.
As far as 100% ownership of the fruits of your labor, that would be a slave. Like, I own 100% of the fruits of your labor. And what happens?
Of what the other individual is doing for you.
Right. So in the scenario of an income tax, let's say it's at 25%. Well, now I've got somebody. now I'm the government, and I own 25% of somebody else's productivity of their labor. There may not be 100% slave. They may have a little more free range and free choice than you typically would have, but you're still a slave. We
went from Christmas to slavery, so I just wanted to make that.
That was the whole point of the show, is just kind of go wherever we want to go. It's that there's no
weird dichotomy.
There's no structure here.
Well, slavery also means that you have no freedom of movement. I mean, that's why slaves escape. I mean, if you take the US example, like, you are stuck on the plantation. Like, even if, like, the government did take 100% of your income, you could still probably go to the movies or the state-run movie cinema. I mean, in communist countries, some of them, you still had modest freedom. They weren't all North Korea.
Like the Soviet Union.
Yeah, I mean, I'm splitting hairs here. Like,
sure.
It was still horrible, but there's degrees of slavery.
I think the main
only country
is your communist countries were more overt and obvious and upfront about their oppression of their people. This is more of a real subtle thing. You talk about we have freedom of movement. I disagree with that. If I try to go to some other country and I'm still a U.S. citizen, I still, even if I'm living in that other country, I still got to pay U.S. taxes. We're one of the few countries.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That I have to pay. I still have to pay income tax regardless of where I live in the world. Plus, I have to pay the local taxes of the place I live in. In order to renounce your citizenship, like, for example, if I wanted to renounce my citizenship, it costs a lot of money. Most people don't have that money to do so. I don't remember what the number is right off the top of my head, but for some reason the number $5,000 or so was coming to mind.
Yeah,
$5,000.
But it's the only country. It's the only country in the world where if you leave the U.S., you have to pay income tax back. It's the only country. But how are they the freest? How are they?
I don't know that.
How are the example of freedom throughout the world? If they're the only country that you have to do that, try getting a bank account when you're a U.S. citizen in a foreign country. Good luck with that.
Maybe make it happen though. But yeah, I didn't know that.
So $5,000 exit fee.
It's the subtle things that they don't tell you about, that once you actually in practice try to go actually do these things, it's like, oh, that's a lot more difficult than I thought it would. You think, hey, I don't want to be a U.S. citizen. I want to be a citizen of another country. I'll just go do that. But it doesn't quite work quite that clear cut and simple.
We had an American as the Premier of New South Wales for a couple of years, Christina Keneally. She renounced her US citizenship, perhaps her discovering why she likes Australia so much, incomparable to the US.
Interesting.
Yeah. The propaganda element of it, the idea behind it, the spirit of the Constitution and what the framers originally set up for us. That's amazing. I agree with that.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Smith Modernization Act of 2012. It was in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2013, legalizes propaganda in the U.S. Propaganda is.
When was this?
This was the NDAA 2013 it was contained in there. It was the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 legalizes propaganda in the U.S.
And can you give me the verbiage on that?
Well, it's just that basically the U.S. Government can lie to its citizens if it chooses so.
Oh no. What does it actually say? Like, what's the actual?
It's the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012.
Smith. Spell that for me. I'm gonna go ahead and look it up. M-O-N-T.
Smith, normal Smith, M-U-N-D-T, Modernization Act of 2012. It's right on Wikipedia.
Is Wikipedia a reliable source?
Well, I mean, you can get the basic. You can get the basic.
It's
an act. It's an act that was
no,
published.
no. I'm not anti-Wikipedia. I'm just asking a general question.
Point.
I use Wikipedia for my celebrity stuff.
Of 2012, I want to see what the actual. As soon as my internet decides to catch up with it, I've heard this mentioned before, and there's a lot of little things they sneak past us.
Oh yeah, they put it in. They put it in National Defense Authorization Act.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff they do like this. It's pretty dirty when you start digging into it.
I mean, people that are outside of the U.S., they have no idea. They think like the U.S. is this bastion of freedom. When you dig deeper, it's not. Neither is really any country. Any country that I've seen.
Okay, so it's basically the basic legislative authorization for propaganda activities conducted by the U.S. Department of State, sometimes called public diplomacy. The act was first introduced by Congressman Carl E. Mundt, a Republican, South Dakota, in January 1945 in the 79th Congress. It was, that was first introduced back then, and it finally got passed, and it took them all the way to 2012.
They redid it again in 2012, renewed it, or...
So it's a propaganda outlet.
Was the country's legalization of propaganda, so they can get away with lying to the people.
It kind of goes in alignment with how, like, this whole idea that all these news sources or these news outlets like CNN and whatnot are suddenly like super, swaying to one side. Like, you didn't have that before. Like it was like seemed like pretty balanced. Like you didn't. I never heard this discussion up until a few years ago that CNN is super lefty.
I agree with you. CNN used to be deemed the bastion of objective.
I would say
news
that CNN, it's not left, it's establishment biased. I mean, it's okay with Republicans such as John McCain and George H.W. Bush, who died this year.
Yeah,
they just don't. They don't like Trump, they're the outsider, rocking the political establishment. I mean, there's good, acceptable Republicans, I think all Democrats are acceptable, but only some Republicans are acceptable. That's basically what CNN is, and all the other mainstream media outlets in the United States.
Well, George Bush was the top Satanist in the U.S. for quite a while. Oh,
we're still alive.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, I guess I lost my internet for a second there.
You idiots! You interrupted Matt. You interrupted Matt. What were you saying?
I mean, if you don't know that a group of Satanists run the world, I know that's probably outlandish.
The Illuminati? Is that what you're gonna say?
What's that?
The Illuminati.
Girl, let him talk, man.
Well, you can call them the Illuminati, but I mean, I prefer to call them the Satanic Elite to emphasize the fact that they're Satanist. And George Bush Sr. was their leader for quite a while.
Oh, senior.
So that's why this is a big deal. This is him dying. It's a big deal with the Satanists because he was their leader for quite a while.
But you don't believe in God, but you believe...
I don't have to believe in God to believe that
there's a group of Satanists.
I don't have to believe in God to believe there's Satanists that run the world.
A group of people who believe in Satan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's just as absurd as Jewish people rule the world. I mean, I believe that I believe in the globalists who try to control how the international order is, but I don't believe there's
what word we use, globalist, if we use Zionist, if we use whatever word we use, Does it really matter? There's a group that controls the world. We don't. We have really no say. Policies are going to be implemented regardless of who we elect.
I don't know that I agree with that in its entirety, because Donald Trump was not supposed to win the election. It was supposed to be
He was
Hillary
supposed
Clinton.
to win the election the whole time.
No, he wasn't.
It was planned, all planned,
Hillary Clinton was supposed to win.
Selected. We select them. It's chosen. They choose it.
That sounds very conspiracy theory-ish.
It's not conspiracy theory. It's not. I mean, you call it conspiracy, whatever. It really doesn't matter.
It sounds like that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just say it sounds like that.
Would, if Bernie Sanders had won, would he have been in the running to be?
It really would have been the same. If he would have been elected, Hillary, it doesn't matter. They all work, the Democrats, Republicans, they work for the same group. They'll be the same policy. If you look at their voting records in Congress, it's the same. They're funded by the same corporations. It's all the same.
But Trump is anti-establishment, or do you think that's just a farce? Do you think that's like a show?
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Okay.
So it's an interesting perspective. The only problem I see with the perspective is, regardless of whether you're right or wrong, it's a perspective that leaves me feeling powerless. I know this is not make it true or false, but it just
have faith in only one, Daniel.
Leaves me feeling powerless. It's like, well, okay, if this is true, then like I can't, like, there's literally nothing I can do. Like, there's no point in trying to come out here and talk to people and educate people, because it's already rigged anyway. It's already, the game's already going to go to one side anyway.
But we're talking in ifs, like we don't know this is a fact. And I just want to say that Matt made a comment earlier that that it's all an illusion of freedom. But until we end up like Tommy Robinson in the UK, or until we end up where the UK is supporting Islam over its own Christian roots, we still have a chance, I believe. Like, Australia is still a Christian Judeo-based country, as is the United States. We're not down the toilet just yet. We're not like Germany. We're not like Sweden. We're not like the UK.
Australia's heading down that way.
I know. My video on the slut walk got over 7,000 views simply because of what the cops were doing to Neil Erickson. Because of what I documented, everyone's like, wow, Australia's headed down the path of the UK. So we are headed down that path, and I acknowledge it.
Right,
but there's chance.
It might be just that other countries are farther on down the path than, say, the US is, but I think we're
absolutely.
I just don't think that our world leaders are doing satanic rituals and all this other sort of witchcrafty Wicca stuff.
They do. Did you ever hear the spirit cooking? The spirit cooking that Hillary was doing right before the
I did see the spirit cooking Hillary Clinton did. I actually did see the photos of that. Of that I saw. But I actually believe she is evil, whereas I don't think Trump is.
So let me
they're give best friends. They're friends. They're buddies.
Were
Matt, let me try to give you some perspective. I think it was you. I was talking about the Overton window. Was that?
Yes.
Okay, so the Overton window, if you don't know what it is, it's just or for those who don't know what it is, it's basically society is willing to see a picture within a certain frame. Okay, and we'll call that the Overton window, and for this theory. But you can talk about things that are a little bit outside that frame, and people are like, they'll be willing to listen, they'll be willing to understand. It's like, but if you go too far out of that Overton window, it's like, it starts to sound really crazy because it's so far outside the norm.
Yeah. Respectfully, it does sound a little bit crazy.
It's a level of crazy. It sounds to the point that you don't even want to bother trying to research it. Like, I mean, you might be absolutely correct, Matt. You might be, but
yeah, I'm not doubting that. It just
so far fetched compared to what the normal or the common view is nowadays, that people are going to hear that and automatically discount you, and they're going to just write you off like, oh, he's just crazy. So there's got to be a path that you lead people along, starting from what's commonly accepted to what is maybe what you view as the reality. And I think if you can understand
it's all fake. It's all wrong. I mean, what path do I follow? What information do I give them? But how
do you know what you claim to know, Matt? How do you know what you claim to know? Like, why is it that you have these particular answers and no one else does? Like, why do you know?
Lots of research. Not only me.
It's
there's a lot of people who know it.
It's not just him, man. I
know that. I just, that's not necessarily what I meant, but I meant like he's in a completely small faction of people who are in the know of these particular facts. And I'm not being rude or disrespectful. I'm just curious how you've come to to figure out what you believe is fact, as opposed to the rest of us who are not
It
sure.
took really like a whole lifetime, and especially in the last 15 years, all I did was research like 10 to 12 hours a day to figure all this out, and other people have done the same.
All right. That you answered my question. I was just curious.
So what I wanted to say is let's put this into perspective from a religious standpoint. You say you're an atheist, and in order for you to believe in something as extraordinary as a god, you would have to have extraordinary evidence. Is that fair to say, Matt?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't talking to me.
Right. So with that in mind, this is kind of the opposite of that. You are kind of presenting a god of sorts, and everybody else, the common people, are hearing this going, well, in order for me to believe that, you're going to have to produce some extraordinary evidence for us to believe that. And
that's a good point.
It's just a different perspective, and I'm just trying to help you. And I'm honestly trying to help you get your message out. If this is really what you want to tell people, if you really want to.
No, Daniel, you've actually moderated this beautifully, and that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I've been watching a documentary series on conspiracies, and they always begin by outlining what the conspiracy is, and then later on they have the skeptics come in and say, well, this is explained by this particular thing. And if you research, like there's enough material online for you to become consumed and believe something.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, like all these New World Order theories, I won't call them conspiracy theories because I do believe in the globalist elite, but there's enough of these secret meetings that go on that nobody knows about, and all these different leaders who are chummy with each other, that you think that there's like the whole Satanist thing, it's way too over the top and dramatic. I mean,
well, you want
more people are
that's more provable. It's really the banking and law system. I was just talking about the people who did it. The banking system is maritime.
That's people are waking up to that. That's not such a huge leap because
that if you started there, I think most people would understand, because that actually hits them in the pocketbook. They see that. Like for example, I hear stories of my mom telling me that when she was a kid or a teenager, she could take $1 and she could go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac combo meal with a drink, even supersize it, and then go to the gas station. She could go buy a pack of cigarettes with that same $1 and still have change left over. Okay. Like
that's a different world.
Like I can't even imagine that. Like that would be
that
would be $15 US for me to try to do that. And it's like, holy crap.
Well, can I say something about the law system? Can I say about the law? Everyone thinks that there's something called common law, and they think like the world is founded on it, the country is founded on it, but it's not. It's really the law of the sea, which is maritime emirati law. They brought it from the sea onto the land, and that's how we have no standing in court. If we have no standing in court, they can do whatever they want to us. That's how everything happened. And if we just go back to common law, everything will change by itself.
All right, check this out.
What to do with what Daniel was saying?
Check this out, man. We've got too many topics being thrown in now, and
you were talking about something completely unrelated regarding your mom.
Yeah, if you can throw us one as far as the banking system. I was just trying to get some supporting evidence for that. If we want to stick on a subject for a minute and kind of hash it out, that would be helpful. And before we hop to another.
Are we echoing?
I thought I was continuing like what we were talking. I just wanted to say, well, supposedly I'm so like outlandish what I was saying. I was going to say something more relatable or understandable, like when you go into a courtroom in the U.S., there's this flag that has gold fringe. That's a maritime emirati law flag. So that really is one proof that that's the law system and it's not common law.
Yeah, that would have to be something I'd have to research. I've heard about that from a couple people.
Yeah, I can't comment on something I have no idea about either.
I had a gentleman on the show that was trying to explain this to me a little bit more a while back. And it kind of started making some sense, but I really it's something that I have to heavily research again. Like you said, you took 10, 12 hours a day. I'm echoing from somebody.
Yeah, I don't think it's our end in the studio.
Yeah, someone hasn't got headphones in.
Well, that's me. I've never heard that I have an echo though.
Oh, I'm hearing myself talk. It might
yeah.
You adjust your volume up recently because it just started.
I'll just turn down.
Okay.
Is that better?
I'll find out when I start talking some more. But yeah,
I don't think you're echoing now. Oh no, I can hear myself.
I'm not trying to attack or say that your viewpoints are wrong. What I'm trying to say is the form it takes as far as communication goes might need to be updated to make it more palatable for people. There's ways you can approach these subjects systematically and methodically. Maybe say you do a video series where you take people, you kind of got to hold people by the hand. I mean, you really do, because most people don't have time to do the 10 to 12 hours of research that you were able to do.
Exactly.
I wish I had that time, and you might be you might be right, but I'm going to hear it, and it's going to sound it right now. It sounds like there's such an overwhelming amount of research I would have to do to verify this information that I'm just not going to do it. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't have the time. I've got a family of 4, full-time job.
And that's really the problem. That's really the problem, that nobody has the time.
Right. So if you can,
but why would we look into those things? If we have other things, like we're pretty politically aware more than the average Joe, and we look into what we can when we can, but then at the same time we need to work, we need to socialize, we need to take a break from these things, or we all become like Sheldon.
Have you ever, anything you've ever done, any politician has ever done anything meaningful? Has any meaningful change have ever happened to you? Has there been any meaningful change?
Change ever happened to me due to a politician?
Like
due to a politician?
Why no one?
I don't understand what you're saying. Can you repeat the question?
What I'm saying is, has any meaningful change ever happened, or does things keep getting worse? Is there like these sweeping changes? I mean, there's so many problems in the world.
Oh,
and it's
that's
never going to change.
There are.
I mean, do you want it? Do people want it to change?
But there are changes that are happening. There's less poverty than there's ever been.
So as societies around the world, we've got richer. I mean,
less poverty.
There's higher standard of living. I mean,
less racism.
Even the very poor people can afford mobile phones
and Wi-Fi.
TVs. I mean, no one in the West starves. I mean, even if you've got no money, there's still methods to get food through charity or
welfare.
Yeah.
So there are improvements.
Yeah. Today's poor people now are living better than rich kings of past centuries did back in the day. Like there's
like the U.S. with their 2 and 3 jobs, and how there's really 21.2% unemployment. It's calculated differently than it used to. They used to just calculate.
Oh yeah, I know that the unemployment figures are bogus. Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
we agree with you on most things. I'm sure we agree with you on most things. It's just what I'm trying to do is help you communicate better. I'm trying to tell you.
I do understand.
Yeah, I'm just trying to tell you from my perspective is how I'm hearing this and how I'm receiving this, and giving you that feedback so that maybe you can tailor your message and your content around that. Like you just started a YouTube channel, and I would love to see if this is true. That's terrifying. Okay.
Absolutely.
I would love to see maybe you take little bit-sized portions and do a whole series on your YouTube channel, holding my hand through it, and maybe
I think I have. Videos. I mean, I think I have. A lot of people have said it's helpful. To me personally,
it might
as
be.
long as your videos aren't too long, and it looks like they're all about, like, a lot of them are like 5 minutes each. Like that's about the right amount of time that people consume information. People get sort of lost. That they don't want to stick around for anything over an hour. So looks like, according from what I can see on your channel, you've got good amounts of time for a lot of the earlier stuff.
And when I change my mind, it's because somebody gives me some irrefutable evidence that says that I cannot refute. Like, for example, I stopped spanking my kids because of Stefan Molyneux's arguments about the non-aggression principle. Like,
but Stefan Molyneux's your god.
It was unmistakable. Like, I could not argue against it. I tried like crazy to find studies that went against it. Like, oh wait, spanking can't be that bad.
I was smacked.
Yeah, me too. But I'm just saying, I went back and I looked and I tried to find the research. I couldn't find, once I was presented with that research or that evidence, that proof, I was like, oh, I can't argue against that. If you can give me that, dude, I'm on board. I'm putty in your fingers, man.
There's a really good channel that's way even better than mine. It would be the Gemstone University YouTube channel.
Gemstone University.
He goes from basic all the way through very complex. I would start with the oldest one. If you're going to do this, anyone, start with the oldest video and you'll learn exactly the control system, how it works.
Well, I do hope everybody
10K subs.
I do hope everybody's having a good time this morning, even given the oppositional nature of the discussion. Is everybody having?
It is morning. It's now morning for us too.
Yeah, it's just it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow for us.
Yeah.
It's Monday morning.
Yeah, this is fun. I actually enjoy these kind of arguments, discussions, and that kind of thing, where we can really challenge each other in this kind of environment where nobody's like getting all pissy about it.
I genuinely did not expect us to get into
I had no expectations. I had no expectations.
Yeah.
Just I was going to open.
Daniel knew. He knows how I am. He knows who I am, right?
Ha ha ha. Fair enough.
I was just going to open it up with a little Christmas talk and take it from there and go as long as we want and talk about whatever we want. I don't even care. This has become kind of a neat episode. Actually, I'm enjoying it.
Oh, I'm glad you're liking it.
No, it's been fun. I think it's right. I think it's instructive. I really do. There's a number of things in here already that I think people can hear. And
this is a reactive show, so I'm not expecting what's coming. It's like one of those. Well, we had this show over here in Australia. Thank God you're here, where you were put into
That's a good show.
A scenario where you knew nothing about. The show that you have over in the States is Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Love that show.
Yeah, this is what this show is sort of like. I have no idea. We just have no idea where it's on. It's just appear at this time and
see what happens and see what conversations occur.
Show up.
Boom.
Go. Let's go.
Are you still doing your Wednesday morning or Tuesday night live streams, weekly show?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yeah,
okay.
I did my last one of the year this week.
We're
gonna take a break until the start of the new year, so I can focus on family and getting things done around here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and then that way I can take some time to focus on more structural things with the show. I want to produce like some lower thirds and stuff. I gotta have time to create them.
You haven't made edited content in a while, have you? From what I've seen.
It's been a little while. A
long time, actually.
Well, the last major piece I did was last month. It was an article, though. It was that voter article.
Yeah, sorry, you told me about it. You told me to read it, and like when you said it was 6,000 words, yeah, I didn't read it.
Wow.
No,
I ain't reading that crap.
No, actually, Daniel sends me a lot of things, and in the past, I've actually helped him edit some of the stuff, and I've had input, but just this time I couldn't. That's all. I would have read it. I just was too busy.
Nice, neat, bit size. It's unframeofmind.com/voter.
Hey, you have a good website. I've pumped it out on my Facebook page and Twitter many times. Like I do it at least 4 to 5 times a year. I make sure that I promote my friends. I do, okay? And you know that's true.
I do appreciate that. And yeah. With you, Matt, as well, as if you want to keep on creating content and it's good stuff, we'll be glad to share it out with our audience.
Oh, of course. I'm happy to share anything of Matt's. But if I agree with the message and I think he's onto something, I would share it any day. Or I would share it even if I disagree and I said, what does everyone think of this? Right. And then that way I don't have to agree
Nothing's off limits on your page.
No, nothing's off limits on my page. I talk about anything. I used to be affiliated with the Unshackled, but I was very quickly kicked off.
Oh, it was mutual.
Yeah, what happened there?
Awkward.
What happened there? I was
Tim,
really
what happened there?
What happened?
Tim, what happened there?
Well, you wanted to explore more controversial
subject matters
topics, and yeah, it was. We still wanted to be on friendly terms, but just
which we are.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like
yeah.
you still had your channel and your Facebook page. We didn't rip things from you.
No. Because I also used to write articles for the Imam of Peace, and I also started writing a little bit for them. I wrote 2 articles, I think. So it wasn't like this whole thing, and then eventually I think because I am too controversial, and I don't mean to be, the things I'm interested in happen to be things that other people consider taboo. Like a video that I made called Catholics Aren't Really Christians really, really pissed some people off. And so yeah,
Catholics, no.
I got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and there's a Catholic faction in the Unshackled.
Yeah. I don't hate Catholics. I don't hate atheists. I don't hate anyone. I just stated theology facts that are biblical that don't happen to coincide with the Catholic institution, because I would prefer to call it an institution rather than a religion. And I got in trouble.
How dare you have opinions?
I know. But anyway.
Strong, independent woman.
That's me.
Make me a sandwich.
Make me a sandwich. Check you go.
Well, so let me. I did have another topic.
Go ahead. I'll stay on for another half hour, but then I got to go home and sleep.
Okay. That's fine. Let me throw this at you guys. This is a completely different topic that I was thinking about the other.
Did that just stop?
Oh no.
He just paused. Dude. He's gonna have to go out and get back in.
Says we're still live.
We are still live. He's frozen.
There's nothing wrong with our internet.
No, it's his internet.
All right. Oh, we've got
Yep, he's out.
The show goes on.
The show goes on. So, Maddie. Oh,
I don't mean to be like controversial. I don't mean to like lay that on you. I just like it's just one thing after another. Like when you say things that I know are contrary to what my research is. I mean, I didn't mean to be all.
You didn't offend me. You're okay. I'm not offended by anything you said. It's okay.
Oh, she does this to me all the time. She's very it's her way of.
I'm too abrupt. I know it. I know I am too direct sometimes. What is up with your internet, dude?
I don't know. It's driving me nuts. I'm really...
Yeah, we've got in the studio here. We've got like the best internet you can possibly imagine
in the world. So when my internet at my house doesn't work, I drive to the studio. I can sit in my car outside the studio quickly. My video uploads in 3 minutes, and I can just drive home. I don't even need to be in the studio for me to be able to like utilize their internet. It's really good internet.
Oh, it's good by Australian standards.
Oh, yeah, by Australian standards. Maybe American internet, or not maybe, definitely American internet's probably better.
We thought.
Yeah, Daniel's really not making it look very good.
No, it's me. I'm the one who keeps cutting out.
Yeah. What were you going to say? You were saying something about another subject matter.
And we'll wrap on this.
Okay.
There's this idea I had the other day. I was sitting there listening to music. We were talking about music. This is the subject's about music. And me and a friend, we were discussing it, and I was sitting there, it dawned on me that I think vanity has destroyed the music industry. Because I think
explain further.
Right, I will. I just want to throw out the baseline here and then build back from there. I feel like vanity has destroyed the music industry, and the reason I say this is because when I don't think there's anybody you can talk to that would argue that music now is so much amazing and so much so much better than it used to be. It used to be amazing. It's slowly kind of gotten more and more, manufactured and fake and kind of sounding.
Agree.
It's good. It's not bad. I mean, you can still jam to it, but it's not like the old school blues. It's not rich and deep and complicated and complex. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's
well,
not.
I'm a 90s girl, and even the 90s music, as cheesy as it is so much more different. See, my English is bad too now. Than what we hear now. It is all the same repetitive sound. You're not wrong. So is that what you mean by vanity, though? That it's the same sounding, or do you mean
the reason? Let me introduce the vanity aspect to this.
Go ahead, yeah.
If you look at the musical timeline and you look at the time when we started seeing our musicians on music videos, on mainstream channels, internet, that kind of thing.
Okay.
When it started mattering what our musicians looked like as well as what they sounded like, it started cheapening the music. I mean, think about it. You're going from a wide pool of talent and then really severely restricting that to only people that are good looking, that we want a certain package. We're very vain about that.
But what about
that's I'd say vanity is good. I mean, you want to look at
like the Michael Jackson
people.
Thriller, like it's the caveat is that the music videos are fantastic.
Yeah,
and you want good people, good looking people in them.
Yeah,
I mean that's fine.
What I mean is even on like stage performances and things like that. I mean the artists kind of have to look good in order to be. It didn't used to be that way. Is what I'm saying. When you first started seeing music videos come on the scene, some of those musicians were not good looking people, but they were amazing. They were such.
Of course, but don't you think
talent.
sometimes the music still speaks for itself? Or are you saying that not anymore at all? Are you saying that the music doesn't speak for itself even now? Now all that package has to exist for someone to be.
But look at I a person who is an exception to that rule is Adele. I mean, she is like
she's not hideous.
Yeah, but she's like a big girl,
right?
But she's insanely popular.
But look how much more talent she had to have above and beyond the normal in order to get past her size.
But she gets reviews that are way beyond a Lady Gaga or Madonna or Britney Spears gets. I mean, she gets rave reviews. She's got an insane following, and that's with her, looking just quite regular.
There's a fire running in my heart.
Yeah, I guess what I'm talking about is the.
Get your words, Daniel. Use your words.
In order to be a successful musician who is a homely looking or regular looking folk, like you have to have such a much higher level of musical talent in order to
I don't disagree with what you're saying
barrier.
about the manufactured side of it, but I think vanity in terms of the look is not necessarily a bad thing because it makes for a better music video. It makes for like a mini movie. It makes for more than just the music. But like I can listen to
better visuals
visually, yeah. But like in terms of just hearing something, you're right. Like in terms of that, you're right. Like the music should be sufficient.
Yeah, I'm talking about when you put the earbuds in your ear and you don't see nothing. Has the music objectively gotten worse or better?
Yes, it has. Yes, no, you're right about that.
That's literally
music has gotten worse. It's the same chords.
Like
you're right about that.
And I get tired of hearing the same.
Music's still good, but it's not outstanding.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Like I don't get moved by a song in that I haven't been moved by a song in a long time unless it's old music that I listen to, ABBA or something from my generation, like that moves me.
Wow, are you from the 70s?
No, I'm not from the 70s, but I was raised with like ABBA. But like that's my point. Like music has it's all the same chords. It's like Paul Joseph Watson did a video about art and contemporary art and how art is shit now.
Yeah, art is shit.
I would say the same thing about music. I agree with what you're saying, Daniel, to a degree.
Right. It was just an interesting way of looking at things, and I just feel like if we could somehow get back focus on the actual musicianship of it all, that would be amazing. I think we could. I have this feeling that we have missed out on the greatest musicians of all time. Within few
good argument
decades that never hit the scene
on a record deal
just because somebody at a record company looked at him and said, "Well, you sound amazing. You write great songs, but this is like."
But
the gatekeepers are gone now. That's the beauty of the internet.
That's true as well.
Like we didn't have to go through gatekeepers to be doing this.
That's true too. Yeah,
we didn't have to go to one of the big corporate media and say, go for this job interview and say, do you have these acceptable things? Will you abide by these acceptable guidelines?
So there's the flip side of it is now anybody can do it. And now in order to find those gems, you've got to filter through so much shit. Everybody can put out their music and most of it's just subpar at best when you go through all the indie music.
The internet's good at picking winners. I mean, the people who are shit will get no subscribers.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's just to mock them or pity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I'm trying to think of I was trying to think of examples of modern musicians that are not that great looking but sound amazing. Maybe an indie artist that didn't make it. I have nothing.
Oh well, what's that? Sam Smith. He's also fat.
Oh well, for dudes it's different, man. That's a whole other thing. If you're fat,
no. Oh, come on. Like I think Usher is he's pretty popular because he's got
and he's fit. He sings well.
Same with Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo.
I think there's a little more forgiveness for an overweight guy than there is for an overweight girl. I mean,
no, I don't think so.
You don't reckon?
I mean, it's getting that.
He's starting to sound like a feminist, isn't he? Or a meninist?
There definitely is increasing pressure on men and boys to look good, and there's less pressure on girls to look good. I mean,
they have fat, obese women now on the catwalks, and being celebrated on Cosmo. Body positivity because it's positive to have heart disease.
But meanwhile, because men, they're always trying to impress women, and other people compete with other guys. There's more pressure on them to work out and have the perfect body.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Look, I have dough. Look at my dough.
Oh. Oh. Suddenly, I have a hankering for some biscuits, and I'm not sure what.
That's funny. You're very quiet there, Matt.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't want to know what I think. So about this particular issue, it goes with regards to
the music or
other stuff I was saying.
Oh, okay.
Oh, do you want to talk about that
I've
still?
heard all these. Like everything ties into everything, and it's controlled by like 5 guys at the top.
All right, it's just
at the top, or do they meet in a cellar, like you know?
I mean,
in the
there's
Earth's
2
core?
ways to make it in the entertainment industry, and I mean, if you're supported by someone within the music industry, then they pretty much own you. And the other way is if you make it yourself, you're on your own. You can control your own money. You can do what you want, but that's really the harder way. I'm not going to go into the other stuff behind that, but that's basically.
All right.
I'm really censoring myself on that.
Well, I do appreciate that. I actually do appreciate having all of you on the show this morning. This has been quite interesting.
Oh,
There he goes. I think we should just bow out now.
I mean, I live in the woods. I should have the crappy internet.
Yeah, you're doing really well, Matt.
if you were at your how's your internet at your place?
We just got NBN.
Okay.
So our internet's improved exponentially because of the NBN.
Yeah, National Broadband Network. It was built by the government. Even though NBN's a bit faster, you'll probably get dropouts.
Oh, interesting. Oh, is he back?
No.
Yeah. There he is. He's back to say goodbye.
Let me try that one more time. I really do appreciate having you guys on. This has been fun. We don't get to do live streams enough because of our scheduling differences in terms of you live on the other side of a giant ball of dust in the vastness of space.
Yeah.
But I really do appreciate having you guys on. And if anybody who's watching wants to check out their channels, I did provide all the links for those in the description below, as well as the article that I mentioned earlier about. It's called "Dear Christian, You Might Be a Pagan."
Yes, that's a good article.
I would appreciate if you
read
check
that.
it out. And the fact that Dia has already read my articles and knows that they're good, and still has chosen not to read the voter article because words. We'll discuss that later.
I'm sorry, but that one was good, and I have shared that every Christmas.
But at any rate, I do appreciate y'all coming on, and maybe I'll do some more of these. I'm not sure. We'll just find out what y'all thought about the format, and we'll go from there. So
if I have a Sunday night available, I'll always come on because you're my friend.
Oh
yeah, and it's a good time for me as well.
Yeah. See, we're happy to come.
And it was good to put a face to the name, Matt, and it was good to meet you, Tim, for the first time.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And it was nice to meet you, Matt. I will look into those channels that you referenced earlier.
You might be a believer next time.
Maybe. I've already fallen down one rabbit hole. Everyone look up Tim Alberino. Best rabbit hole.
Tim Alberino's got the best rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So hot. I don't even
Sounds a bit odd.
All right, y'all.
It's it's about the Nephilim. It's really interesting.
All right, y'all. This has been another uncomfortable conversation without a condom. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, I have stopped.
Still alive.
And stop.
Nah.
And still stopping.
Still says live.
No. It's
or
still
live forever.
So we're just going to keep talking, and maybe we'll get into theory of relativity or something,
E equals MC squared, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, something happened.
He's gone.
All right. So bad.
We're trapped online.
We're trapped. All right. We'll just go, right?
It's even worse with me.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Matt.
Now,